Half-Life is a series with a ton of mods. Mods like Cry of Fear, Delta Particles, They Hunger, Afraid of Monsters, Assure Sheep, Black Ops, Brutal Half-Life, Case Closed, Blackguard, Human Chronicles, Wanted, Timeline, Point of View, Caged, Edge of Darkness, Visitors, Infected, Visual Life, Residual Point, Lights End, Heart of Evil. Yeah, there's a lot of famous mods. We all know them. But do we know Half-Life Baby? What about Hardman? Do we even know HLywood? So today, we're looking into some Half-Life mods you've probably never heard of. Starting with Half-Life Baby. Half-Life Baby, a mod that started development in 2004, or at least as early as I could find sources on it. It takes you through the childhood, or should I say, babyhood, of Gordon Freeman. We're controlling baby Gordon years before the Black Mesa incident, all the while listening to this song that plays the whole time on the first level. Where's it even coming from? Now, I don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. Nobody knows what this song is. I do know one thing. I can't get rid of it. Unless I let the whole thing play. How was I supposed to get through this? Oh, the song stopped? Thank God, I can hear myself. It's just 6 minutes of a mystery song that I can't control the volume of, which seems to be a problem a lot of these mods have. But I'm moving too fast. Let's see our mother. Yeah, there's my mother. And yeah, that's our first inkling that every adult in this mod is gonna look like a monster. From our mother, soldiers, repairmen, hazard men, bug dudes, whatever Dale Gribble was in King of the Hill.
Exterminator!
We can clearly see, adults aren't to be trusted. Packed with a rattle and an NES zapper, we climb our way up to the bathroom to meet whatever this thing is, and we quickly grab our diaper and jump out the window. Kinda strange for a baby, but hey, I guess that's what Gordon was getting up to as a child. Now, there is story to this, but there's a few different variants. The most recent version has the least information, but if we go back a few versions, we get this, where we can see the history of the mod. Yeah, thanks to Google Translate. Anyway, let's get to the story.
History of the mod. Yes, wow! But what's that shout? It's Gordon, of course. He's barely 8 for months. He's been shouting as loudly as an alarm siren. Gordon has never been
Yeah, sorry for cutting that short, but the gist of these stories is that Gordon isn't a very friendly child. Hell, he's probably more comparable to Gordon from Freeman's mind than the canon Gordon. He's hellbent on revenge on his parents for sending him to reform school. He's 2 in the story, but 1 year old in the mod. If we go by the original story, he's getting revenge on them for whatever reason. It doesn't really make much sense. But hey, you're a baby. That's kinda cool, I guess. Anyway, let's think of baby Gordon as Boss Baby. You know, instead of the baby headquarters, you have shed operations. Yeah, it's not as glamorous as working for Baby Corp, but Gordon worked for Black Mesa in the future, so that's kind of a big deal. But I digress. There really isn't a reason to head into the shed. It does show off what I assume to be Baby Gordon's secret base, but it doesn't really amount to anything. Sure, you can start this little generator to blow up some vents. It leads you back to the start, where an exterminator opens up our next path, but that's all the base is used for. There's nothing really interesting beyond that, but once you crawl through the vents, you're met with the same manhole you passed by on the way to the shed. I assume that once I break the chain, it was supposed to open, though I think I might have messed something up. Maybe Baby Gordon lacks the faculties to open such a manhole. Or maybe the mod creator made a mistake. I don't know. But what I do know is backtracking led to a locked shed door. So I'm pretty confident that manhole was supposed to open. Thankfully, I have my own ways to get around this. So with that, I killed the exterminator, went to the porch he was locked in, and quickly made it to the next level. Simple, right? Well, it is if you ignore the time I spent trying to figure out how to open that manhole. There's gotta be something I'm missing. There's something I'm clearly missing. But let's just move on, as now we enter the kitchen of our home, where we can see another one of those cassette demons, or apparently stuck in the stove. I'm still not too sure what they are, but at least I can get a good look at them now. They definitely seem like some sort of toy monster a kid would dream up. Is it in reality? Is it a rat? Is it all imaginary? I have no answers. But at least we can kill it. Anyways, let's move on to the next room. The living room. Okay, we got the presidential suite. We got our own nice house. I got my what the hell was that? I got my rattle and my favorite show, which I hate, but I could play duck hunt. All in all, not a pretty bad room. But we start to see some problems outside. Look at these guys. I don't think they're supposed to be doing that. But ignoring that, we can go to the next room and see our dog. Hey, look, it's my dog. But we quickly find out the poor pooch isn't exactly very cuddly. Yeah, we gotta put the pooch down. That dog was violent. It had rabies. Like super rabies. Now on second thought, reading the story from earlier, the dog probably had a good reason to attack besides super rabies. So after killing our new dog, I wander around the house looking for another path, and take some of my anger out on the TV, which so happens to be hiding a shotgun of sorts. Yeah, I don't know how this thing works, but it carries a lot of shells. It's pretty cool. And soon after, we find our next path through another vent. It's hidden behind a Xena the Warrior poster, which I don't know how many people figure this part out, since there really isn't any indication to go up this way, besides maybe this little vent hole in the living room, but that doesn't really tell you where it is. Either way, I found the path, crawled through the vents, and landed safely in a toilet bowl. Yeah, and I climbed my way up a cabinet to reach the sweet, sweet freedom of the Half-Life baby streets, where the military is apparently looking for me. I guess word gets around fast that I left. Or maybe it was the body of the exterminator that gave me away. Either way, they sent the military to go after a baby? I must have been quite the handful the last time I was captured. Anyway, I quickly deal with them, and it seems like they can't believe a baby could take them on. I guess this babysitting job wasn't as easy as they thought. Though I did get a tad bit overconfident. I feel like I could honestly kind of stroll through here. What are they gonna do? Stop a baby? Don't be the guy who kills a baby. I didn't expect the damn National Guard to start shooting a baby. After exacting my revenge, I head down to the sewers to get them off my trail. And I soon find the dumbest part of the mod. You see, I have to hit this grate at the right time in order to land on the pipe. That's alright, it's kind of annoying, but I managed to do it in my second attempt. However, the dumbest thing is this valve. Let's get this clear. I'm a baby. Flashing lights. Sewer. You know, the whole shebang. Of course I'm gonna spin the red valve. Who would have thought that would have caused the acid to rise up and kill me? I'm a baby! So, after killing the military again and making my way back, I spin the valve, which isn't needed, but I need to assert my dominance by beating the door seal. You can't kill a baby twice! But, let's continue on this path of Baby Armageddon, as we're about to drop in on our newest enemy, the Robovort, or whatever that thing is. Honestly, it kinda reminds me of Robert 107 from TimeSplitters. Just the face. Nothing else really. I don't know what to say about this thing. It's pretty ugly. I don't know what it could be besides a robot. But this is the first and last time we see this thing. So take it all in. What are those legs? What are those feet? Okay, moving on. We have some stuff to explode and a new area to get to. But first, I have to charge up my diaper. Okay, so now we explode these crates. Or I slither my way past them by sliding up this beam. Okay, yeah, it would have been faster just to shoot the explosives, but why take the conventional route? Never let them know your next move. And now we're in some more water, and we meet a familiar foe, my dog, and he's multiplied. As we can see, whatever the shotgun is works really well at taking them out. Now after dealing with my dogs, I take a look around the room and try the door. But alas, it's locked. Whatever shall I do? It's not like these vents break, right? Yeah, these vents are breakable, but it's not really obvious that they are. I guess you can see the material clipping, but other than that, it's kind of another hit everything until something opens room. And when something opens, it just leads us into piss vents, filled with dogs and robo-crabs, and that's about it. You kind of just wander around this maze vent system, killing whatever you see. There's an occasional ladder that takes you up, though you're looking to find the one that heads down. Going up in elevation only leads to more enemies and items, which aren't really of interest. Anyway, when you find the right path, it takes us to the final room of this mod. Or well, what I consider final. As you can see, it's a big pool, and there are sharks. Yeah, you gotta deal with sharks. Now, the intended way to deal with this is to swim to the exit and lock the sharks out. However, I saw shark. I conquered shark. Now, this gave me time to explore, and there's nothing really here. There's some pipes that push you around, and a spot that seems sorta safe. However, it's just a kill box. I guess that's just there to trick unassuming players, but with the sharks moving about, I don't think it's gonna get anyone. Now, let's move on to the next section, where we ride a barnacle to climb up. Yeah, that's how you get up. You'd think there'd be something different other than a barnacle, considering everything else has been changed. But no. We got pseudo rope to climb to get us to the next area, where we get our newest weapons. An old school cartoon bomb in a picture frame. Yeah, it's kinda odd, but that's the trip mine. Moving on, we see our newest enemy. A weird version of the bull squid, and yeah, I forgot there are 2 more voids to fight in the mod before it ends. Anyway, the bull squid is just a recolor with some giant tentacles. Everything else gets a bigger redesign of some sorts, but the bull squid just becomes the blue squid and looks way overfed. I guess the creativity was kind of dying down at this point. Which makes sense considering all we do now is enter this room to collect some goodies before walking down the hallway to transition to a new unfinished map. There's really nothing to do after this. This version ends without a proper ending and is a little disappointing. However, I did find another version that's even less popular than this version. I'll save that for another video. Let's just move on to HLywood. Welcome to HLywood, a small map created for the whole Half-Life's Map a Movie competition in 2004 where it took 3rd place. We're going to be escorting some actors to their agent. But first we have to grab our conveniently placed HEV suit in order to protect our precious actors. And if you want to know what makes them so precious, well, listen to this.
Hello, hello?
Yeah, so we're going to be hearing a lot of lines from a huge catalog of famous movies. But that's probably the most interesting thing to say about this mod. It's pretty short. He does replay it a bunch to hear every line due to how short it is. Though it is kind of funny to hear lines from Full Metal Jacket, Austin Powers, and many, many more. There's not really any substance to it. You kill a few enemies, you see a recreation of a scene in Independence Day, and deliver the duo of actors to their agent. It's honestly underwhelming for a 3rd place finish, though it was 2004, and there wasn't very many submissions for the competition. It's still enjoyable for a playthrough or 2, I just wouldn't expect much else. It's time for Hardman in the City, a mod released in 2005 by Daniel P, who has other mods such as Pimp My Ride and... yeah, that's all I could find. There's probably more by Daniel, but that's not the focus here. It's time to get hard, man. Now the first issue I had with the mod was configuring my controls. For some reason in both the Legacy build of Half-Life and the 25th anniversary, my controls couldn't be changed unless I went to the CFG file, which was annoying to say the least. Any kind of change done through the menu and not the console would reset my controls. And by reset, I mean unbinding everything. It's weird, but that's about it in terms of annoying issues. Now the first thing you'll notice in this mod is that you're left-handed. For the pistol at least. Yeah, it's not even a true left-handed model. The creator just went to Model Viewer and shifted the view model to the left and called it a day. He's still clearly right-handed. It's the only gun like that. I don't know if the intended focus was to make the main character left-handed and he gave up immediately, or he found that the models he wanted for this aren't modeled for both sides. It's odd, but that's not the only thing changed with the weapons. There's a new MP5 model, which is alright I guess. And the revolver and grenades model were replaced as well. The revolver has a weird HD-ish model that I'm not too big a fan of, but the grenade has just become the Counter-Strike HE grenade, which I like Counter-Strike a lot, so I'm a fan of that. That's basically it on the weapon model changes. There are NPC model changes, but I'll go more into that in the next section. Now unlike Half-Life Baby where there is somewhat of a story, this is kind of more of a homage to Kingpin Life of Crime, rather than something completely unique. We can hear voice lines lifted from the game, along with the music, and the main goal of this mod is to go gangstas. We start in our home bedroom ready to
get the fuck out of here.
And that's exactly what we do. We gather our weapon, namely the fake left-handed pistol, and head out the front. And, it's blocked. That's okay. We'll just grab a crowbar and use our secret elevator to the street. Might question anything. But hey, now we get to meet our first NPC, the biker Barney.
Hey, sorry, I wasn't.
He's pretty cool. But before we continue, we need to check out what's in the fridge. A fake PNG bottle. What about the bathroom? A fake PNG scale? Oh, and down the hall, a fake PNG clock and pen. Why am I showing you this? Well, it's pretty funny, and we're gonna come back to this in the future. Anyway, back to Biker Barney. He works alone, but is completely fine with teaming up with you. In fact, he's a pretty decent ally against the rival gang. He tanks a lot of shots and is even capable of killing enemies by himself, even in hard. He's a useful ally when he works, and mildly annoying when he doesn't. Let's go, Mr. I Work Alone. No? Do they not follow me down? I guess not. Alright, I guess I do work alone. Thankfully, it's not too often. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and grab that MP5 that rival gangsta was using, and scout out the area to find another gangsta hiding with the trash, which our friendly biker Barney will dispose of. Thanks, BB. But none of this leads to where we need to go. It's the sewer. That's where we go. Just like Half-Life, baby, we're getting dirty. Now, we're in the sewer for a grand total of 10 seconds maybe. Probably less if I was at Mine Series walking everywhere. It's not really too interesting, and only serves as a pathway to the next area rather than hiding anything cool. But now that we're in the next area, and it's perhaps my favorite part due to how dumb this sequence is, we fight some gangsters. Shoot him! Shoot him! Shoot him! We get to a garage. We press a button to open the garage. The button inside the garage unlocks the door to a house that it's not connected to. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I don't even know how to rationalize it to anything other than the creator wanting us to explore a bit. But if that was the case, why add these invisible walls to stop us? But hey, let's just enter the house and see my favorite thing. More fake PNG items. Just the whole sequence is stupid, and it's kind of funny. We gotta make sure our door is locked. Make sure it's tied to this button a few houses down. We gotta make sure nobody takes our fake PNG items. It's pretty ridiculous. But continuing on inside the house, we can see our next NPCs are the Psy Bikers. They don't really do much of anything but act as meat shields. Okay. I guess they're civilians? No problem. Maybe? Doesn't make much sense to have gangsters that don't defend themselves, but I guess that's what they are. Now, we should really head out of what I assume is our biker clubhouse. It's very floral. Anyway, we jump out the window, fight yet another gangster, and enter this weird elevator that leads to the subway. It's probably best if we don't question it. Or the body. Yeah, I'm afraid our friend BB isn't for this world. Dead or better. Well, the good news is that the ones who did this to poor BB don't know we're here, and we can exact revenge and not question the subway layout. Now with our rivals dead, we can head deeper into the subway and find yet more rivals. Yeah, it's not that easy. But after disposing of them, we can see a barricaded path in another room. Entering the room, we can see yet again another fake PNG pen. I see why the gangsters were hell-bent on defending this place. I'll leave the gold and take the hand grenades. Anyway, instead of getting past those barricades, I decided to check out the other side of the subway and make it to the bathroom, where my fellow Psy-Bikers are being attacked. Hey, no! I couldn't save them both, but a friendly loss led to a deadly gun. And it didn't really seem like the other Psy-Biker really cared.
Okay.
So I went back to the barricade, climbed over it, and met my two new biker buddies, BB1 and BB2, and I told them to follow me, and had them help me with this next battle, only to see that they get foiled by stairs. Yeah, they can't walk down the stairs. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. They're just here for 2 seconds. Looking past that, I head down solo and find 3 more gangsters waiting for me, and I try and lure them to BB1 and BB2, but unfortunately these guys are way smarter than that, and don't fall for my trap of BB damage. So it leaves me to take them out the old-fashioned way. Once I dealt with them, I went deeper in the subway to actually find the trains, and more enemies. The good news is that they were guarding supplies for me, and it turns out a BB was hiding in the train. What the hell is Mr. I Work Alone doing in there? I guess he also can't conquer doors. Anyway, we take the subway together, and I stop him before he slowly slides away. He's not getting out of help with me that easily. Next, we deal with a cutscene that reveals nothing, but allows a bunch of enemies to appear. They're not too tough to deal with, even on hard, and thankfully, stopping BB from sliding away allows him to take a few shots at him while I slither back and forth. However, there is a chance he'll be slithering on the windows, and another cutscene will appear that reveals nothing, just so it can take your vision away so you can get shot at. It's really the only difficult part of this extremely slow train sequence. I don't see why anyone would take the subway in this city. It kinda blows. But once I'm off the train, I leave BB behind and say hello to two little rat friends that we'll see again later. Oh, hello. A rat. Because we really are in New York. As I climb up the staircase, I'm greeted with hallways, and it's actually kinda quiet for a few minutes. I managed to find a room with supplies, but there's still nothing happening. You'd think after a battle like that, there'd be a few more enemies lurking around, but I guess the biggest enemy turned out to be myself, as I got myself stuck behind a barricade. Yeah. I don't think the creator thought anyone was gonna do that. Well, can I get out of here? Thankfully, I learned a few things from Half-Life Baby on how to get around this. But there's still no enemies, just more supplies, hidden in breakable, unbreakable boxes apparently. Looks like we got a small breather after the train sequence, but it doesn't last long as we're soon to be ambushed. I mean, kind of ambushed. I kind of ambushed the ambushers here, but I see that there was a plan at least. So, go me? Anyway, we gotta break this little fence and then make this cool jump. Though, there's one thing that annoyed me about this section. There's just a bunch of invisible barriers forcing you this way. I get there's an intended path in games, but preventing us from doing things we can usually do in such a blatant way is so uncreative. What if I wanted to jump on the crates to reach the top of the building to make the jump easier? What if I wanted to jump around building to building? I get that I'm supposed to go through the fence and go through the door, but there's no secrets or any out-of-the-box thinking that could be rewarded here, since the creator took it all away. And by taking that away, it just makes this section the lamest part in this mod. But moving on, we make it to the next area and are met with a single shotgun enemy who's pretty dangerous. But I managed to take him out pretty easily, just wiggling back and forth. And for killing him and the enemies at the ambush, I'm rewarded with more unbreakable boxes. Yeah, it's kind of a reoccurring theme. You kind of just have to hit everything and hope something breaks, because every now and then something does. Anyway, we take the elevator and head down the hall to meet yet another ambush that I counter-ambush. Yeah, they're not too great at their job, and I guess it shows my trail of destruction so far. But the placement of these enemies could be a bit better. It's kinda easy just to attack them from above. But now that they're dead, I jump down and squeeze through their small barricade to meet some side biker buddies. They're just kinda there. So I leave them behind, since I'm used to my companions being allergic to stairs, and I enter the building, which is revealed to be a bar with the bartender ready to blow up into pieces, which doesn't really happen. But I can't say the same about his companion, who turned into many companions after that. The bar had some armor for my battery-powered biker outfit, or whatever I'm wearing exactly. Unlike Half-Life Baby, this doesn't come with a player model for multiplayer, so we can only imagine what he's using those batteries for. But let's not worry about that. Let's worry about the sick tunes on the dance floor. This is so stupid. Alright, let's just move on. As we move on to the bathroom, we find another enemy unaware of my presence. But apparently he has the reaction speed of a god as he ducks under my bullet. Though I don't think he'll be ready for this one. I mean, I guess he wasn't ready, but I guess I was fighting God. Guy just survived an explosion. But moving on. There's apparently a button in the men's bathroom to unlock the women's bathroom, where two of our side biker buddies are hiding, of course. I don't think there are any women in this city, but man, this is a pretty crazy design for a bar. Now, we use the women's bathroom to go through their vent system, or whatever this is. Yeah, like I said before, this is a pretty stupid design for a bar. But once we're out, we meet back in with BB1 and BB2 to begin our trail of destruction once again. And once we successfully clear out the area, I managed to get myself stuck again, this time with the help of BB1 and BB2. Oh wait, what if I... Hold on, you come with me. This area we're definitely not intended to be in. This is kind of fully my fault this time. What did that do for me? what did this do for me? This did nothing for me. I'm trapped. And trapped I was, until I used a little bit of magic from Half-Life Baby to get myself unstuck once again. And with that dealt with, I left behind BB1 and BB2 to think about what they've done. And I entered the building to find a weird subway elevator thing. It's a bit odd, but hey, at least it came with its own fake PNG phone system. Now, this method of transportation, however you call it, came with its own little quirks. Did someone just die? But at least it's faster than the subway. Now, after running over yet another person, we make it to the end of our little trip and find another rival gangster who seems up to the task of being ambushed. However, his friend steps in to try and ambush the ambusher, but thankfully the elevator subway thingy is a better friend to me than it is to him, letting me time my assault of shotgunning him in the face. But, gotta miss. Jesus Christ! Okay. Thankfully, I didn't miss a second time, so I'm able to see yet another fake PNG item. I mean, if it wasn't blue, you could potentially say this wasn't supposed to be a fake PNG. But once I leave the subway, I'm topside yet again. Apparently, these guys have some hearing issues, or they're overconfident in their gang's competency. Another ambush goes my way thanks to the 357, and I wander the streets and find a homeless biker. There's a homeless dude, okay. And I also found an interesting development. A real bottle? Made from the same fake PNG as before, but somewhat cropped? Is our creator improving? What about the charm of the old fake PNGs? What of those? I guess this is the end of our friendly fake PNG. After moving on from this tragedy, I'm actually for once walking to a somewhat decent ambush. I mean, I hear the enemies, but I don't know exactly where they are. The one actually catches me off guard, but he seems to be the only guy outside waiting for me, so my suspicion leads me to the window. And as I slowly approach, my suspicions are proven right. Unfortunately for them, they're in such a small room, I'm guessing they didn't think I had any hand grenades, because they quickly became chunks of gangsters. But with their gibs aside, checking out their hidey hole reveals a button that unlocks the warehouse, allowing us to see what's hidden inside. The first notable thing is that there's a box that's clearly different from all the others, allowing me to understand it's breakable, and it was holding a gigantic drip mine. Well, gigantic for a second, then it turns to normal size. The creator is definitely improving, and for what else is here, it's enemies. A bunch of enemies. I guess this is where they store their gang, considering we're in a warehouse. It's a good thing I stockpiled all these explosives from my earlier engagements. Kinda helps with my, mishaps.
Uno, dos.
You're dead. I bonked him. Uno, dos, open! I mean, I did not mean to throw the other one. Yeah, so the warehouse is kind of rinse and repeat for a few rooms. They hide in corners. I lob explosives. You know, the whole thing. Until we get to the forklift, where we see Mr. Rat. Oh, hello, Mr. Rat. Anyone hiding around here, Rat? You guys let me know. And then do the same thing. But this time, we got a forklift. Now, the forklift will be important in a second, but let's make sure we attach the HEV hose to our battery-powered biker vest. Now, I could be wrong, but I think it's the only HEV charger in this mod, so I think that's something to note. Anyway, we use the forklift to get into the vent, but that's only if you're lame. If you're cool like me, as you know, HEV-powered biker vest, you just jump into the vent without the use of lifting forks. And before you know it, we're back outside, and there's just kind of a void. And then, before you know it, we're back inside. Yeah, so I don't know the purpose of this hallway. I know it's a connector to the next map, but did it have to be indoors? I could have just landed in an alley and walked to the next map. That would have made sense. Now, this next area is a bit dangerous. This is probably the most dangerous part so far, but you're reviewing it for my second attempt here, so it doesn't look too bad. Though if you saw my first attempt, I got destroyed. This time, I'm a vet. I basically memorized the patterns, the numbers, the masons. It's all up here in the brain. Now, the best thing about this fight is that we could have totally avoided it. There's really no point in fighting those guys in the alley since there's nothing in that direction. We're really meant to go inside the auto shop and take out the guys there, not deal with this alley business. And once we take out the 3 dudes inside, we're free to check out the area underneath the car and grab all the supplies down there if needed. And then we can continue on through the shop, which leads us directly to their scrap yard, filled with, you know, scrap. Now, there's nothing too interesting about this place besides a little bit of health and armor. However, where it leads us is kind of crazy. There's an automatic door sealing the scrapyard, which leads us to another elevator. It doesn't make much sense, but hey, how much of this has so far? Anyway, once we reach the elevator's destination, we're met with more hallways in a weird-looking environment. It's more factory-esque than anything else so far. We'll grab some supplies and try and break through the locked door before we turn the corner to see the weirdest thing so far. There's a conveyor belt and a lever. Well, obviously I gotta pull the lever, and once I do it, it releases the only women in this mod, Black Op Assassins, and they kinda get thrown into lava. Yeah. And as we move on, we'll fight some more gangsters, and we'll see some more odd contraptions featuring these Black Op Assassins, all meant to kill them in different ways. It's not really explained why. The gangsters are just defending a factory with the express purpose of killing Black Op Assassins. crushing or burning them to death. It's weird, but maybe there's something I don't know. I gotta stop being curious. Well, I mean, the texture here is also messed up. Caution Canada. Caution Canada! Now that I know it's the Canadians, I move on to the next room and deal with the next batch of gangsters, making sure I don't touch their dangerous Canadian traps. And I move on to the next room, where I find more breakable boxes. They're using the same breakable box texture as before, so we know the creator's been improving. Anyway, we head up the stairs to meet what I assume to be the head gangsta of this operation. I don't know what makes him the head gangsta besides having an office room with a mattressless bed. Well, if the cigarette fits. Now all we have to do is search the room, where I find a lever hanging around the mattressless bed, which opens the locked door I was trying to get through earlier. Now it's time to backtrack. If you thought there'd be enemies waiting for me on the path back, well, you'd be wrong. It's unexpectedly safe. There's not even enemies behind the locked door. It just leads you to an elevator where you get ambushed by enemies. Yeah, the whole false sense of security thing almost worked until you realize you have a grenade launcher, and those guys don't know spacing. The only smart one in the group hid behind the boxes, but he wasn't that smart as he went kablooey from a satchel charge. I have a feeling that guy's dead. Oh, something just tells me. Next, we grab some supplies and head up the stairs to once again be out on the streets. This new area is pretty open with only 3 enemies. I'm gonna assume this is where they bring in the smuggled Black Ops. I mean, there's a big garage door that seems connected to the factory, but I could be wrong. Anyway, this place is connected to some apartments that are loaded with rival gangsters. I assume this is their home base, considering, you know, we're right next to the factory. But as we traverse through the piss-filtered apartments, we rush to the rooftop to find some more gangsters, and we eliminate them, just so we can walk the plank to the other side. But we do take a detour to check out the trash to find some armor and break our legs. Well, I thought it could be like NDO where he jumped in the trash and like doesn't hurt him. I landed on a medkit. I did land on a medkit, but I took more damage than gained. Like, that was a negative in every sense of the way. After fixing up my legs, we head back inside to more piss-lighting apartments and safely gather some supplies until I notice something huge. Oh, he actually has a real clock this time. I can kind of see remnants of the PNG though. I see the remnants. This really is the nail in the coffin to all the fake PNGs. Now we're just stuck with some bad crop jobs. It's sad, but what can you do? Except take your mind off of things by shooting some more gangsters. And we're gonna be doing a lot of that in this area. This whole section really reminds me of Max Payne 1. It's probably because we're fighting in an apartment in a New York-esque setting, but you know, I still have to bring it up. We just kinda go throughout the whole apartment floor and take out the gangsters room by room. And sometimes, there's apparently some Psy-bikers being held hostage, I assume. They're just kinda there, which makes me wonder if there really are Psy-bikers or civilians. Anyway, we rinse and repeat this strategy before reaching an elevator, which takes us to the beginning of the end. We're only able to hit the button labeled 3. You think it would just be clearly defined as up or down, considering we're locked to that choice. But maybe that view makes up for it. Quite a beauty, huh? More buildings, a garbage bin on fire, and a dead guy. Quite the sight, huh? Kinda makes you want to see it twice. Which, if you're curious how the down perspective looked, can you go to 2? Well, I guess I am going to 2. I was too curious. This is very slow. That was a mistake. Well, let's try 1. They're all just up and down. Besides 4. 4 is not the up and down. So after enjoying the sights, we can start enjoying the fights. As we leave the elevator to meet a shotgunner face first, and teach him the language of explosives. But he isn't the only guy we teach. We end up fighting another grenade-slinging gangsta and another shotgunner. And we kinda accidentally shoot a friendly BB who isn't a fan of love taps. What was that? What was that? What's your deal? Okay, you suck. You sucked, buddy. I shot you a little bit, okay? Because you're colluding with the enemy. Mr. Works Alone. Like Mr. Dies Alone. After dealing with that tragic heartbreak, I find the next elevator and make it to floor 4. Very slowly. It's only 20 seconds, but all we see is a better angle of all the buildings. Anyway, we reach the 4th floor and deal with the enemies the same way. Massacre. Destruction. We kill them. Okay, the last one is kind of already implied. But we do what we've been doing so far. And there's no BB in the way to betray us this time, as BB2 was taken out by the gangsters already. I always knew I liked him better. But what lies beyond BB2? Why, another ambush, of course. It seems like these gangsters never learn. You'd think after hearing all your buddies become piles of chunks throughout the night, you'd prepare some countermeasures, rather than serving yourself up on a platter. These gangsters really want that briefcase full of money. Fortunately for them, that's not what I'm here for. But that leaves me wondering, what exactly am I here for? All this chaos, all this violence, all this destruction. For what? What am I supposed to— ooh, a machine gun! Peek it! Peek it, I dare ya! What was I blabbering on about? Oh yeah, the story. Yeah, so apparently we're supposed to deal with this helicopter, but there's no information on it, or anything at all really. You can only assume that we take control of the helicopter and leave this crazy city once and for all once we reach the cockpit, because it just ends. There's no big reward in this mod. There's no big reveal of what I was running from, or why I came here specifically. There's nothing. But that's what makes these kinds of mods fun. You can just make up your own story. You can workshop why you're the Hardman. Why are you hard? You could even become the hard woman for all I care. The story is what you make it. And I don't really know what I make of it. But that's just 3 of the countless forgotten Half-Life mods hiding out there. Some are a little weird. Some are for forgotten competitions. And some are someone's first steps into modding. Every one of us a piece of Half-Life history that's worth exploring. So if you know of another obscure mod that deserves a look, leave it in the comments, and I'll be sure to check it out. And with that, I'll see you in the test chamber.